is. Press the record button.
I totally forgot lip color today. And without, I have like...
Hide behind the microphone.
Here we go. No lips.
Ooh, it's a little chilly in here right now, but I'm sure I'll be...
You're going to be just fine.
Getting my clothes off a little later as we get warmer. And we're ready. Hi, welcome to Clitorally Speaking, the podcast. I'm Michelle Doherty.
And I'm Emily Lane.
We are BFFs dedicated to bringing you conversations between girlfriends over a bottle of wine.
Oh, I am so excited about the wine part.
Oh, me too. So pull up a chair, grab your glass,
and let's get talking.
Oh, hey, Emily.
Hello, Michelle.
It has been a week. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, I'm so glad we have wine to help us prepare for this prepare for this next week.
The upcoming week, I know.
Oh, goodness.
It's a little different today's podcast. We just you and me.
I know. It's where it all started, right?
And every now and then we just like to talk to each other.
I know. Well, we had so much fun. So we had a little adventure.
We did.
And we did this little trip down to wine country.
St. Genevieve, Missouri.
Yes. And we did that in preparation for an upcoming podcast.
An upcoming guest. And we're really looking forward to that interview coming up in a couple weeks. So.
Yes.
But we did. We went down to St. Genevieve, spent the day. Mm-hmm. It was a gorgeous hot day. I mean, it was hot. Even in October. Whenever this airs, it's supposed to be cold, but it was a hot day.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be thankful. Like when it airs, we'll be like, oh, we are longing for those hot days.
Yeah.
But we had such a great time. And it was we did a lot of field recording. And in fact, we're going to release that journey as an episode or two,
probably. Extra?
Yeah. And it was just kind of fun for us to be like, oh, hey, here we are just doing what we do. We're having a conversation over wine. And
we're going to record ourselves this time.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty fun. I mean, this whole journey about Clearly Speaking the podcast and what we're doing and how we're finding our way is just, it's kind of really cool. I sit back sometimes and I think how easy this is and how there really isn't, I mean, there's a formula out there. We are following some guidelines. We're trying to, use best practices, follow best practices, but we can still make our own show, our own podcast, design it our own way, personalize it, customize it. So we're not stuck doing somebody else's idea of a podcast. It's liberating, exciting, a little frightening too, as we're trying to balance all of these balls that we have up in the air.
It's taking shape, and we had this idea, and we're like, let's just do it. We didn't waste any time.
No, we didn't.
From conception to reality was
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
which is kind of awesome. So we've been really learning on the fly, and it's been a fun journey, and it's going to be an ongoing journey, which is great. And
we've had so many people like, oh, you need to talk to her. She needs to be on your guest. She needs to be on. Oh, I'm going to tell this other person they need to be a guest, or you need to meet this person. And it's so exciting to have such positive response from people who haven't even heard an episode yet.
Right. Yeah,
but soon, by the time this is out, people will have heard all the other episodes. So it's just kind of it's overwhelming in an exciting way.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your positive feedback. Any feedback that you have, we want to continue to hear. And so I want to, before we go too far, because we do start our episodes talking about the wine. We do
have some structure, yes.
Yes, we should talk a little bit about our wine.
Okay.
But I definitely, I don't want to lose this train of thought, because you were talking about how we're learning our way and social media and things like that. And I think that there's a conversation that I'd like to open up and explore.
Sure.
But let's fuel ourselves.
What do we have? What are we drinking today?
We're drinking Bordeaux today.
But we're not sharing with anyone. Well, we're sharing. Our listeners out there are going to be, hopefully drinking along with us. But we're not sharing this with another guest. So
we are sharing some with Sam,
our audio engineer.
Yes.
Which
people haven't had the luxury of hearing from Sam yet.
He just chuckles over there in the corner, shakes his head.
And we do record this live, so like on our iPad. So he does like slide in and out from time to time to get some more wine. So we can either gauge the conversation's going real well or not so well based on the number of slides that he's taking.
Right. So. We know it's bad if he says, "Okay, this is the button to press when you're done. I'm out of here. I can't take anymore. I'm so bored."
I'm putting the countdown timer on, ladies.
Yes. I'm going to take the rest of this bottle and I'll see you later. This is the code to let yourselves out. Goodbye. So that hasn't happened to us yet, thankfully.
Yes.
Thankfully. I don't anticipate that that's going to happen because, I find this fascinating and interesting.
Well, of course
I don't care if anybody else does, but I certainly find this fascinating.
It's great. We
so
like
anyway,
talking.
we need to talk about the wine that we're having tonight.
So we are drinking Bad Boy wine.
Bad Boy wine.
Yeah,
it sounds good.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's called Mauvais Garçon, which means bad boy in French. It's a Bordeaux. It's such a great story. So a few things. This wine is a bargain wine for sure. It's under $15.
Nice.
By a few dollars easily, if not more.
Okay.
This bad boy, he is a celebrated winemaker in Bordeaux and specifically in Saint-Emilion, which is like a really, really good region, like part of Bordeaux. And so when he started making wine,
Does he have a name?
Yes, Jean-Luc. I'm probably not going to pronounce his last name correct, but we will share it. It's Thunevin, I believe. Okay. So Thunevin, which I love the fact that the part of his last name actually has wine in it. Yeah. So he didn't have a lot of funds when he started winemaking, and he literally was making it out of his garage, but in this like premier area. So here he is. He has this wine that's incredibly, it's Chateau Valandron. Again, my pronunciation. I will work on this, I promise. But
take a sip, Emily.
Yeah,
your French pronunciation will be
it
so
improves.
much better. Yeah.
It does, for sure. Yeah. But anyway.
She'll be speaking fluent French soon.
Before this podcast is over.
Before her first class is done.
So he's doing some of these labels that are, more for everybody, because
we like our wines to be accessible on Clearly Speaking the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have an episode ago a wine that was like in the $25 range. It was like a splurge. It was
a splurge for us.
It's a splurge for us. And
but wasn't it wonderful?
It was a South African wine. You can go back and listen to that episode if you haven't bought the wine yourself. But I know that when we talked about doing this, we wanted to try to keep ourselves in the $15 and under so that our listeners
can join
wouldn't
us.
Be intimidated by a price point, and then they can drink along with us. So with Mauvais Garçon,
it's true. It's very accessible. It's it's something that you can find. It's delicious. This bad boy wine. It's got a darling little label. It has this like badass little sheep on the front of it, and it's got this sign pointing to the garage, which is a reference to his early, his modest beginnings. I think that this is really one of those nice wines that has that black fruit, cassis, blackberry on the, right. You get that right away. I think that there's some nice kind of spices, a little bit of that cigar kind of.
It does. It does. Yeah.
It's there's a lot going on.
But you aerated this for a while.
I did. I gave this an hour per the recommendations of my friends. The wine merchant, they're like, this is great. Give it an hour. And I read up on it too, and everyone said the same thing. This wine, by the way, 92 points by James Suckling. I mean, that is...
Wow.
I think this is like $13 to be all
wow.
Right?
Wow. Yeah, you're going to be calling for more bad boy. Garçon.
I think I have a few cases coming my way.
more.
Right.
More mauvais garçon.
Well,
Maintenant.
Maintenant, s'il vous plaît. The truth of it is that, as we say in every episode, like we like to drink wine. But you're not going to drink the we're not going to drink the 25 plus every night. So, it's great to have these bottles that
without taking like 4 or 5 other jobs to pay for those $25 bottles of wine. And then we won't have any time for the podcast. And then where will our listeners be?
Oh, it's a sad thing.
We're making sacrifices.
We are.
But these are good. These are good sacrifices to stick with the with under 15. And at Mauvais Garçon it's not, to me. Okay, so everybody knows that my palate's not. My description of my wines is not nearly as flowery.
Is this a bad boy panty wine?
Oh, this could be like a G-string wine, right? This could be a thong. But it's not a pretentious wine.
No.
You know? Like, it wouldn't be anything that if you served it to your friends where they would be like, oh, I'm really working hard to get through this. This is supposed to be something that, it's intimidating, and I'm having to work hard to get through each sip. This is one that you could share if you wanted to with other people, and it wouldn't be something that would be hard for them to enjoy along with you.
I agree. I just got some vanilla on that. Did you get vanilla?
I haven't yet. I'm still talking.
So good.
I'm still talking. This is what happens when I'm drinking the red wine. I pontificate. But I would suggest, if you're having this with somebody more than you by yourself, if you're sharing this with your girlfriends or your family, have more than one bottle, because this is a wine that will go down easily. And you will want to have the other bottle ready to continue the drinking and the conversation.
I agree.
That's what I've got. That's all I got right now.
All right.
I'm gonna have a sip. You keep talking, Emily.
All right. Well, I'm eager to hear the Michelle description. I want to know, and everybody else wants to know, what kind of panty is this?
Okay. Well, this is in no way a bad reflection on Mauvais Garçon at all.
Okay.
But these are like some comfortable panties. These are comfortable panties. There's like no, like it's not hurting your legs. It's not, it's not riding up or anything. This is like, these are like seamless panties. Like you don't even.
Oh, I can see that.
There's no panty lines. You don't even notice them.
But it's got to be a rich color. Like they're like,
they're definitely.
They're
a sexy color,
right?
They're a sexy color. They're like either like a shimmery black or like a really, really deep,
maybe even see-through.
Well, Emily, it's been a long time since I've had see-through underwear. And that's a whole nother podcast. That's like 3 or 4 more bottles of wine, But, one day, listeners, I'll have some see-through panties again, Now that
we will find
I'm
the
far
wine.
past that whole, having children time, I don't have to worry about that. So, but yeah, it's a comfortable panty. Like, for
it's easy to enjoy.
It's easy
Let's put it that way.
You're not going to cut into your legs or your abdomen or show any lines. It's seamless. It's seamless. Yes. Every sip so far has been the same. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's not like, I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter.
It's okay.
This is when it's nice to have somebody else here to
balance it out.
To balance it out.
Well, you know what? I think this actually would be a great time to take a pause, because I have a thought for a question I want to throw out there, which I think is going to take a little bit of time. So this would be a good time for people to grab their own, get that next bottle ready and prepare themselves for the next segment.
Get your comfortable panties on.
That's right.
And we'll be right back. Is it going okay, Sam, with just the two of us?
It's going really good.
Okay. Awesome. It really is nice.
Isn't that nice? I'm getting more and more as we taste it. Like I'm getting lavender, I'm getting leather, I'm getting so much more. That's
My
why
panties
I was like,
are just feeling more and more comfortable.
And I'm thinking leather. I'm like, I knew I'm wearing leather panties. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, well, I'm gonna have to. So, yeah.
What?
I'm just making note. Like, I'm gonna say leather, and you're gonna say comfy. In our next
comfy and seamless.
Seamless
Seamless panties. No panty lines.
So Yeah, I'll work on that for our post. Yeah. So.
I know. Mine's comfy, seamless, screaming for more. More bad boy.
Right.
Give me more bad boy. That's Michelle's thing. She couldn't even like decide about her panties because she just kept saying, "Bring me more bad boy. Bring me more bad boy."
All right. Okay, we're good.
Here we are back.
All right. Well, we refreshed our glasses. We reflected even more on the wine, diving into the concept of a wine pairing as a panty. And I was convinced that this is a leather panty. And, Michelle is very convinced that this is a screaming for more bad boy panty.
Right.
Yeah, that's comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah, because you don't want to be uncomfortable while you're screaming for your bad boy. Yeah.
So let's talk about bad boys a little bit. Let's, I mean, we're drinking a bad boy wine and you're apparently screaming for more. So,
right.
Let's hear your experience with bad boys. Are you attracted to bad boys? Have you had a lot of bad boyfriends?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. If you recall a couple episodes ago when I was talking about like meeting people that you had such a strong sexual attraction to, but you knew that they were not. No way they could ever fit into your life. That's like probably like the most recent that's in my brain that sticks out so much. And he definitely was a bad boy. And he had been to prison, so that was...
well, there you go.
There you go.
Another hashtag there on that.
Yeah, I don't have any push pins on a map of prisons across the U.S. where I keep track of that at all that I know of. But I have had a variety of, relationships that I wouldn't necessarily call them bad boys. I think when I was younger, I might have been more attracted to the bad boy, although my ex-husband was not he wasn't the bad boy at all. He never came across as that. I've also been the kind of girl, though, growing up that I never snuck out of my house to go, to a party or anything like that. My brother did. I learned that he did because I was too afraid to do that. So for me to date a bad boy would have pushed me further beyond like what I was comfortable doing. I just prefer to date guys that are unavailable. Emotionally unavailable. And if that means they're also bad boys, then, then I guess
that's a bad for you boy.
That's a bad for me boy. Yeah. But that's okay. I'm becoming wiser and more learned and seeing my red flags. I mean, we talked about this with Dr. Donna Marche White on that one episode, which I'm sure we'll continue to talk about this because what do girls do when we get together over a bottle of wine?
We learn.
And we learn and we share our experiences.
That's right. Yeah.
But what about you, Emily?
So I have to say, I've never been really drawn toward the bad boy. I'm actually drawn toward the exact opposite, like the actual introvert, the guy that's not accessible because he's too smart and he's like, he doesn't want anything to do with people, like that's
so like almost like Big Bang Theory guys?
Yeah, totally. Like, I like people who are like introverted, philosophical. Once you get them in a conversation, it is so rewarding. But boy, to get them there, like that challenge, I think I really like it. So,
they're probably like overwhelmed by you because I don't know, listeners. Have you taken a look at Emily? She is so pretty.
Oh, well,
so pretty.
listen,
and I can see like if we had those collective guys on Big Bang Theory and you were like trying to chat them up at a party, yes, they would all go run and hide because they would be like, I can't believe she's talking to me. Who's this beautiful blonde, smart, intelligent? It was all, yeah.
Well,
it would be a challenge to try to get them to engage in conversation with you. Because first I'd have to actually believe that you want to talk to them. Oh, but that's interesting.
Oh yeah, I've always been drawn to that personality. Now, like you, for me, the bad boy has like surfaced after you're in a relationship, and then you learn, oh wow, this person's a terrible person. But then you're like already, there's something that's capturing like, oh, it's really great sex or whatever. There's something that's keeping you connected there that's not healthy, but there's a magnetism. So I have had a couple of those experiences, and I far prefer the sanity of
of an introvert that's not an asshole.
Exactly.
Not an ultimate asshole. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I always find that for me, a successful pairing, whether it's wine or actually men, is somebody that can match me on a physical level, an intellectual level, and an emotional level. So I call the pie or the EIP or however, but if you only have like one out of the three, it's not going to last for long. But for me, you definitely want all
finding
three.
that
It's hard.
right, it
is hard,
no
definitely.
joke,
and
right?
so when you do find that, and then he still ends up being an asshole, you're like, why do we even try? Why do we even try? Just let me go to the store and buy more Mauvais Garçon and, sit in my comfortable panties and watch, Netflix. Wait for my podcast.
Because the joy that you get out of, like, when those times are good, I mean, it is the best high that you can get.
Yeah.
When you're really connecting with someone, it is amazing. And I think that's what's so great about what we're doing with our podcast, because there's lots of ways to connect with people.
Right.
Right. Of course, we've transitioned now from like sexual intimacy, like that's amazing. But, a good, honest conversation with girlfriends can also be incredibly rewarding and stimulating. And like, I find myself after coming home from a conversation with you and some of our friends, like just feeling absolutely electrically alive.
Inspired.
Totally. Because I've been able to express how I feel and find that there are other people that feel the same way or have interesting counterpoints to share. And it opens my mind. Like, to me, that is just... yeah,
it's priceless.
It really
is.
It's
why we're alive. And that's why we have friends. And that's why we connect with people. We reach out because we really can't stay by ourselves for a long time on the couch. No matter how much good wine. No matter how much good wine.
Good idea.
You'd have to get up and go get more.
Right.
Unless you order it and it's just delivered. And then you'll have to hopefully interact with the delivery guy. Delivery person. I'm sorry. I shouldn't make that gender specific. But I think that I've been blessed with lots of interesting, fun experiences in my single life, and I was married for 10 years, but we were contractually I was married for 12 years, but he left after 10 years.
Okay.
So I have been single now for 15 years. And I had the kids were younger, and so it was hard to date. And when they were younger, and I just remember my dad. I was complaining to my father. This was probably 10, 11 years ago. Complaining to him one time. I'd gone up to visit him in Chicago, and I was pushing it was spring break, and the kids were. I think the young William was 10 years ago he would have been 4 or 5. And I was pushing him in the stroller, walking along Michigan Avenue. And I was like, oh, Dad, blah, blah, blah. It's so hard today, blah, blah, blah. Wine, 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 wine,
Different kind of wine.
Yeah, it was a WHINE. And so if William was 5, then Jake was 9 and Meg was 13, right? That's 4 years apart. And my father very wisely said, well, Michelle, you might just not meet that one person that you're going to be with next until all your kids are grown, because that's what it's like. You got 3 kids. And I was like, but Dad, I'll be 52 when that happens. And I was like, so far away. Yeah. But it's not. It's just like a few years away now for me. And I'm like, wow, my father's so wise. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be for me, that I'll meet somebody at that point in time. And whenever it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. But I'm a lot more relaxed about it because I've had fun. Mm-hmm. I have dated. But I haven't tried to find a husband to replace, a father figure, because they have their own dad. And, I kind of look to having a relationship where I have my place and he has his place, and we like to get together and spend time together, but I still have my place and he still has his place, because I haven't had to share my physical space with an adult male 24/7.
For a long time.
Oh, for a long time.
Right?
And
That'll be interesting when that day comes, for
I
sure.
I wonder if it's possible. I wonder if
I'm
it's
sure,
possible.
well, with the right person, of
With the
course
right
it
person.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. With somebody that matches me physically, emotionally, intellectually, most likely. Yeah.
Right.
As long as I still can have my own space. I can't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's important, that you can still pursue your own ventures and have
Well, that's what I like about you and Ken.
Yeah.
You both have your lives, but you balance each other so nicely.
Yeah.
He doesn't hover.
Yeah. He supports.
He supports you.
Pretty amazing.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're also not afraid to not be together.
Right.
Even when we are home, it's like he's a cellist, and so he'll go and practice in his studio, and I'll be, researching, having phone calls, working, all kinds of things.
Drinking wine
with my friends. He'll eventually come down and make us nachos.
Yeah.
It's a really
We'll have to have a picture of Ken on the website with like the nachos. He has to have that because people need to see. I mean, those are the best
a real
nachos.
Treat. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been making those since he was a kid. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's take another little pause here,
we need more
and
wine.
refresh our glasses, and let's come back, and I'll tell you about another bad boy I interacted with earlier today.
Oh, all right.
All right. This is a lot of wine.
It is.
Oh my Lord.
We're getting there though. I've got enough Qdoba in me.
So we could, and Sam.
You need some more?
Yeah, if there is time, it'd be fun to, once we're done with this, do a couple promo things, right?
Yeah.
So.
I haven't written anything out. But
neither have I. Have we ever?
I know.
No, we haven't. So.
Which is the beauty of this.
It's great. That's what makes it real.
Right. She looks so good.
I know.
And when I picked it up from Walgreens, the girl, she was like, I just love this.
Oh, fun. Do you want to hang one up in the store?
I was like, that's our new podcast.
Yeah.
She's like, this is so exciting. And that's just the girl who printed it out.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine Walgreens logo on there?
Yeah.
It would be in the feminine care section.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's so hilarious. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready when you are. Great. Welcome back, everyone.
Yes.
So, as we talked about earlier, we've been kind of stumbling our way along, trying to learn about this process and learn about how to get the message out there and share our viewpoint and, social media, websites, all of it. It's all new.
Trying to find that balance.
Right.
Right. And,
Yeah. So I'm
feeling our way.
Yeah, that's right. See what people respond to and everything. So today.
Well, and even not only just on social media, but when we have shared with friends about, hey, this is our podcast name. We've had 2 people out of the hundreds or so that we've told about our podcast react, 2 women react ha ha, giggle, uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
And which was an interesting way to go, why were they uncomfortable?
Right.
That surprises me. But then, the 98% of everybody who's we've spoken to, can't get enough. And
men and women.
Men and
right?
women. Yeah.
It is interesting. And I think that's it's a problem, right? I mean, people can say dick and penis and all these other things so comfortably, but you say clitoris and all of a sudden people go, oh my God.
Right. This embarrassment comes out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned it to a friend of mine. And she was like, oh my God, I'm going to barf. That was her response.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a real problem that you're not that comfortable with that part of your body that gives you so much pleasure. That's it's a part of our sexuality. Why do we have to be ashamed of this?
Right.
So,
well, and then, those who have responded with that, little bit of uncomfortableness about it, I would venture to guess, and now I don't know anything for 100% certain like this, but I would venture to guess that they haven't necessarily given themselves permission to embrace the fact that they love sex.
I think that's probably true. Well, there's so many stigmas against women enjoying sex, right? If men are heroes for the number of partners they have, women, the more they have, they're sluts,
Right. And for every man doing it with a woman, or every woman having sex, there has to be a man to have sex with.
Right.
Yeah.
Obvious. Right.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of inherent issues with it. And, that's one of the things that we liked about doing Clitorally Speaking is, we want to be taken seriously, but we also want to empower the fact that, hey, you know what? We should be proud in our femininity. We should be proud of our bodies, and we should be proud of embracing the fact that we are physical beings and we deserve pleasure and
we deserve to speak our truth.
Absolutely.
And so you have clitorally and you have literally, we're not going to speak anything but raw, honest truth on this podcast. And I think when women have reacted a little, nervous about it, is they're not comfortable in their own truth yet.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll listen to the show and they'll start to, maybe shed a little bit more and get a little bit more comfortable in their own truth. But it's been an interesting journey so far trying to balance all these things. And I know you said earlier today you'd posted this one post on our Facebook page, and I liked it. I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah. It was all about being curvy and like
embracing your curves.
Embracing your curves.
So I found this vintage ad, and it was for the opposite of a diet pill, right?
To help you gain weight to be curvy. And I was like, we don't have that anymore.
Right. It was fabulous. This woman, it was like, when I was skinny, men didn't notice me. And now that I've gained 10 pounds, I have all the dates I want.
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
I just thought how marvelous this is. And so I posted it on Facebook, and I said, this is what I call curve appeal.
Right. That's clever, yeah.
And, ladies, embrace your curves. So I thought, this is great.
Positive.
What I wasn't aware of is that we are in this moment right now where objectifying women is a real problem, right? There's all this political debate going on, right, about this. So I wasn't sensitive about that. I was thinking, oh, this is just fun stuff,
Well, I think I'm gonna back you up on it.
Okay.
Not that you weren't considering women being objectified. You were more own yourself.
That was my approach.
Right, exactly. And that is how I took it. I did not receive that post as something that was objectifying women, but more like, if you embrace yourself, you have power, and you have power to choose, and you take that power away from anybody else who might be objectifying you. That's so.
Right.
I was right there on board with you. Okay?
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So I received a follow-up comment from a guy, and he shared a blog that I thought at first must be a joke. I was like, and so I read the whole thing because I was like, I was waiting for the joke, and it started
you thought it might be sarcastic or something like that.
Totally, and it was women, you want it. Don't you miss those days, you Gen Xers, when women used to wear pantyhose because they knew it made them look good and men would want you? And don't you miss those days that men could legally, sexually rape their could rape their wives? And don't you miss those days that date rape was funny? And I kept thinking as I'm reading this article, okay, this is surely a joke.
Yeah, like why would this guy post this as a reaction to this one meme I have, right?
But at the end, it was like, let's face it, ladies, you want it. So basically, it was like saying, you want to be raped, you want to be objectified, all of that. And I'm just like, this is not at all what I was saying with that post.
Right.
So I pulled it right away. I left it on our Instagram because I feel like...
Well, you didn't leave the guy's response to it, but the post is on our Instagram.
Well, but the post was on Facebook. I removed it.
Right. I know. You told me about that.
And so it was interesting because I was in this amazing little think tank conversation.
Well, before you talk about before you go there, I want to share with the listeners what you had said to me about that post. You're like, oh, Michelle, I think we got our first hater today. And I reacted. I took it down because and you told the whole thing about that post or that blog post and sarcasm. And you're like, you're looking for the joke. And I was like, well, we can always block people. Yeah. All right, we'll take that back. And I thought to myself, I'll keep my thought to myself until you share the results of the conversation with this strategy session you were in earlier today. Go ahead, keep going.
This is really interesting. So I work out of this collaborative co-work community, and it's just everybody that's there is brilliant. And, it's 180 business owners, and all of which have had a great deal of success and not successes. I mean, that's how you learn, right? You grow. So these are all people who have experimented and done things and are quite bright. And so I shared with them this experience. I was one of 2 women in the group, and of many men that are experts in marketing and all of that. And the first thing they said was, why did you pull that down? You actually, that's a perfect opportunity to open that conversation up. And actually, if I was going to condense what they said, it was shame him,
For his point of view.
Right.
And for why he thought it was okay to come on to Clearly Speaking, the podcast Facebook page.
Right.
And post that.
And advocate.
For date rape being cool again.
Right.
So why he thought that he had any power to do that, that bothers me. And again, it goes to kind of like male privilege, that they, you can step in and tell you how you're supposed to feel. My reaction to you taking it down initially is somebody had punched back and your innate reaction is to fold.
Which is so true of me, right?
You, right. You weren't even thinking like the bigger, grander scheme of the voice for the ladies out there and how we should fight back. It was like, oh, I've been punched. I have to fold. I folded it in. I deleted. So
you're so right.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my God.
This is going to be an ongoing evolution for you.
Right.
To not fold every time somebody punches back. And now on top of that is you were validated by the group of
men,
business owners, well,
and people,
and I know we'll just say people because I don't want
fair enough.
I don't want to psychotherapy you right now, but I'm gonna
because we're gonna need another bottle of wine for that.
But you were validated it was okay to leave it up. Now, you might want to reflect on the fact that it was, 2 women in the room and all the rest men. And so if the men saying this was okay, you're okay with it. But what if you had been in a room and there'd been 2 men and all the rest women and they all said, hey, why did you take it down? Okay.
Absolutely the same thing.
Good.
It is valid. I guess I don't like being put in a position where I have to be defensive, right?
And there was nothing about the post you put up there that was offensive,
right?
Which should have made you defensive. This person, he was whatever little mind, narcissistic mind that he had, that he felt it was in his power and his total privilege to come onto our Facebook page and tell us women that, we know we want it.
Right.
You know you want it.
Put those pantyhose on, ladies.
But know you want it. You want to have date rape be cool again. His mindset, you know what his problem is? He's not getting it. That's his problem. And he's angry about that.
Fair statement.
And if he is married, he's not getting it. And if he is getting it, she's only doing it begrudgingly.
Because of obligation.
Or it's easier to, wait, have him take 30 seconds and have him, do his business and be done with it than, deal with the whining, moaning.
Just such a sad thing. Oh my gosh.
It's a sad reality for so many people.
I mean, to be honest with you, I was in a relationship once where the pitch for sex, I like sex, okay? I'm not a prude. I like sex, but
Yeah, you have shared with us,
Right.
the see-through panties
Right,
and the leather,
the leather, whatever,
the leather
you know?
panties.
Yeah.
You like to have your bottom pinched when you were in kindergarten. I mean, you have shared quite a bit, Emily, on literally speaking in the podcast. If anybody's, recording all of these things or marking it down.
So, but this partner that I was with never took care to make sure I was taken care of. And so it made, the longer we were together, the idea of having sex got less appealing to me because, oh, great, I just get messy, and you had your fun. And, what about me? And
Didn't even bother to bring a towel to the bed, did he?
Nothing.
You're like, oh, great.
Here's your one square. So,
a cold washcloth, right?
Oh,
a cold
God.
wet washcloth
So,
that he'd already used. So here, use to have that.
His
Sorry to gross you out, ladies. Let's all have another drink.
His sales pitch was, let's have sex. I promise it will be quick.
Right.
That's your sales pitch?
Yeah.
How about, I promise you will, and you'll have yours before I have mine.
Well,
Let's go there.
a very wise woman said to me one time, she said, Michelle, foreplay for women is all day, every day. Everything a man should be doing is foreplay.
Right.
And when she shared this to me, I shared it with my ex-husband now. I was like, yeah, hey,
Yeah.
foreplay is all day, every day. And he hated that. He was like,
You mean I have to work to woo you?
yeah, he hated that. What he preferred to do is like, especially as our relationship got towards the end, he would be out there mowing the lawn, right? And he'd be pushing the lawnmower. He's like, hey, look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing. I'm mowing the lawn. And I would think, oh, shit, he wants to get laid later.
For mowing the lawn.
For mowing the lawn.
Hey, were you like, hey, I'm doing the laundry and the dishes. Like, I expect a little treatment here.
No, it's more like, how much alcohol do we have in the house? Because he's mowing the lawn. He's going to edge soon, and now he's probably going to want to have sex later. And I'm just, so I would just drink a lot. And I used to joke. People said to me, they were like, Michelle, after I got divorced, they're like, when did you get your sex drive back? And I said, as soon as he walked out the door, I was like ready.
Ding, ding, ding,
I was like
ding,
ready
ding.
to go and have sex with somebody else. And, whatever it is as it is. But when, foreplay every day and all day.
Yeah.
And then another wise girlfriend of mine said to me that sex for a woman is the outward expression of how she feels inside. And if you do not feel loved inside, you don't want to give love. You don't want to share that side of you physically. And again, when you share that with your partner who is this, if you're not in a good space or you're going to be divorced in a year and a half, you share those things with them. They don't like that. They don't want to know that either, because then it makes them have to reflect that maybe they're not giving you what you need. And then on the other flip side, ladies, there are so many different flip sides out there. Getting to a point when you're comfortable to say what you want and what you need, and that
it's tough.
And then hey, mister, you're not taking care of me.
It's really tough. I mean, so many times, like when you do, like this has been my experience, is that they get offended. They get offended that they're not amazing.
Which is another tactic. They get offended, and then what do? We try to make them feel better because we offended
it's great,
them.
it's amazing.
Right, yeah, okay, it's going to be 35 seconds tonight. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
take me now.
It's like, it takes a lot of courage to say, move your hand an inch this way, or like it takes a lot of, for me it does, it takes courage to share that information, and you have to be really comfortable. And you're already being as intimate as you can be, so you should be able to be that comfortable. But it takes, for me, courage. And so when I finally do it, to then get that like, I'm getting there, right, as a response, it's like, you weren't getting there. That's why I had to.
I can tell you, like, the biggest turnoff for me when I'm having, relations with somebody, and then he's so gung ho, he's gonna go down on you, right? And he's like, And then he's like down there, and you can feel his shoulders go, oh, because you haven't come yet, right? Because it's taking you too long, and he just sighed. And then I'm like, oh no, let's just cut it out. But done. If you don't want to be there, don't. You just sighed on me. No, I'm not. It's over.
My God.
It's over because there's no way in hell I will now have an orgasm, because guess what? Sex for me is how I feel on the inside, and you just made me feel self-conscious because I haven't come yet, because what, you've been there 30
For 30
seconds.
seconds. Okay.
How long does it take you to give a blowjob? Guys don't come after 30 seconds, and if they do, well, maybe there's a problem there. Or you're so good you need to write a book and then send it to everybody.
I mean, they like to do the same thing. They draw it out, enjoy the moment, right?
Yeah.
And, if you rewarded them with that sigh, right? If they're like, then you reward them. Okay, fine, you don't have to do it. Then, right? Right?
Damn it. Okay,
right?
So yeah, they got what they wanted. They didn't want to do it anyway. Here we go. It's so clear now. Oh my God, Emily. Yeah, psychotherapy and me now. Shit. But then I don't know. Future times. Hopefully nobody will sigh on me. But I don't know if they sighed, would I? I think it would just be done.
I think you got to let that go.
It would just be done.
I think one of the misnomers that is out there is that men don't like it. Because I mean, men do like it.
I've been with men that do like it, and I've been with men that think, okay, you rub the titties, you spend a little time down there. Oh, and now it's time to
those aren't
penetrate,
the right men for you,
and then we're done, right? Because that's the routine or the sequence they watch in porn. Excuse me, titties.
Yeah. Again,
oral, penetration. Sandwich.
So your trifecta that you were talking about of the man that you can connect with on all levels, right? That is not the man that's going to connect with you, right? So
I know, which is why I said sometimes if I don't have all three, it doesn't work.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's the guy you shoo out your door. You get your toy out.
I give him his bus fare and I say, you go on home.
Exactly.
All right, because this is not working. Here's your Uber and go.
Right.
Goodbye.
Right.
And then you take care of yourself.
You take care, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what we learned on our last episode, or an earlier episode with Dr. Becky Lynn. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Isn't that astounding?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I came home and I was like, Ken, we got to use it a lot.
Wake up, Ken. Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. It's time for us, Ken.
We got to get busy.
And I want you to put your finger right where I tell you to. Well, on that little note, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to top off our glasses.
Final splash.
We're almost done with this wonderful bottle of Mauvais Garçon, and Sam is he's just blushing over there.
He has actually turned the chair around.
Yeah, I think he's watching Monday Night Football. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but we're going to take a quick break and be back momentarily.
Where are we at on time? Oh, we're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we could do a quick wrap, probably. Okay. How long is this episode altogether so far? That's amazing. Are the long episodes, I mean, we've had a couple that have gone long. It felt right for them to go. Is that just because we're being luxurious with ourselves, or should we be condensing things? What's your thought?
I don't think it matters that much. I think that if you feel like the conversation is fun for you, then it's probably fun for whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you feel like you're having to drag it out to make it long enough, then you're probably
It's time to cut, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you there,
Okay.
because that's the thing with the podcasts. They can be however long we want them to be.
right. It's like you said at the beginning. There's no rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's not like I've shared with Emily. We're not trying to get away from the. I listen to NPR a lot, right? So you have like things are like an hour, or because they have to fit into their blocks for their radio, right?
You got other programming.
They're programming, and so to get like to the nice balance between the never ending, my dad wrote a porno podcast that's, takes forever to get through
Right.
to an NPR
Yeah.
style,
Mhm.
and then the nice middle.
And I feel like that the sort of the conversational kind of thing like you're doing is that's the most free kind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Joe Rogan. I don't listen to his podcast, but millions of other people do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He sometimes does podcasts that are like over 2 hours long.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is insane to me. I have no interest in listening to
A 2-hour
talk for more than 2 hours.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Millions of people listen to it, so I don't think there's any rules really.
Yeah, I mean, there are several, here's the thing with Alec Baldwin, like the shortest podcast will be 20 minutes and the longest one will be like an hour, it's a nice range, and it all depends on what's happening in that conversation, so.
Plus, since these aren't tied to any specific event, they don't have to be chronological. They're just
Right.
sort of freestanding.
Mhm.
I think if somebody wanted to listen to a 20-minute thing, or they had an hour plus, they could just go through and figure out however long the drive was going to be, and just
Pick the one. We should find out. You said you were working on summaries. It'll be fun
Yeah.
to this episode, we
Right.
talk about bad boys and
Right. So it's like I'm trying to do
Right.
guest wine topic, or
Right.
maybe things we hit on. I know without sound. I want to sound interesting, but not. Yeah, I'm working
Right.
on it. The blurbs and they'll listen to. I think people will. They will just want to start. They'll want to just listen to us like they're having drinks with us at the table, because that's
Let's
pretty
just-
much all it is.
Let's tap this out. Sam, do you want to bring your glass over and make sure we get...
Bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a bad boy. If you can't tell.
Yeah. Drinking on the job, as are we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
I remember the time in second grade when my teacher told me to be quiet, and I still have that memory.
Series that haunts you.
I had to write
So, yeah, I'm a rule breaker a little bit,
sentences.
but
I had to write
But it stuck
sentences
with
because I
you.
talked too much in second grade.
Oh, yeah?
I will not talk in class. And then,
The very Simpsons kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
And then when we moved to Hawaii, I had to write pages from the dictionary. That's what the punishment was, because I would not stop talking in class. So, here's A to, I'd have to write pages out of the dictionary. You wonder where my good vocabulary
there it
went,
is.
right? They're like, she's such a speller.
So, Sam, would you ever be interested in chiming in at some point?
If you want me to,
Okay. That could be kind of fun. Yeah.
I'll
So,
give my input. I don't know if I have anything interesting to say, but if you want me to,
okay. Good to know. All right. Do you have a sense of where we're going to go?
Bad boys,
We were just talking about sex.
sex,
And
telling. Oh, you're making Ken work it, satisfy you, over and over and over, and screaming out.
yeah, well, let's maybe shift.
Yeah, we can come back in. I have an idea.
You do?
I have a little idea. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Go with me.
All right, we got it. As I adjust my...
Yeah. So before we took our quick break, Emily was talking about how she was enjoying spending time with her fiance and him making her scream over and over and over again. And she was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing, Michelle. Let's not talk about that anymore. But that led me to think with another question. And again, I think there's this idea of what a perfect sexual experience is about, or a woman who can orgasm multiple times versus a woman who orgasms one time, and like what's normal. I mean, we should have Dr. Becky Lynn back on
Oh
to
my
talk to her about
gosh.
that,
Yeah.
or another sex person on to talk about it. But I found for myself to be quite I feel bad that I'm not somebody who's this multiple orgasm screaming off the top of her head every 30 seconds because you touched my shoulder and then I just
Wouldn't that be miraculous?
Well, it would probably be dangerous, but there, but I know I have friends that do. They're like, oh my God, I came 12 times last night and I'm like,
seriously?
Bitch.
No, it's not that easy for me. I'm going to tell you, there a lot of work goes in,
which is why if you're going to side during oral sex, you just killed it for me. But I have just kind of I've explained, as I've gotten older, I just I share with my partner, and partners who have been with longer, they know that, we get that one from Michelle and it's all good. But,
it's a really good one, right?
Yeah. It usually is a really good one. And you're like, hey, I don't smoke anymore, but I would like to right now.
And what is amazing is how long an orgasm can last, right? I mean, it is it's like this wine and nice finish. It's
well, like Dr. Becky said, right? The clitoris and all the nerves. I mean, there are 8,000 nerves in the clitoris.
Right. And it's not just that one little spot, right? It encompasses a large region.
And it radiates throughout the body. And so if you hit a nerve, set it off. And their pleasure is only designed for pleasure. So an orgasm that comes when it does, finally, for some of us, when we're with a partner, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's it's all the endorphins are released and you're smiling. Well, for me, I get even more chatty.
That is interesting. That's probably the opposite.
Have you ever laughed after an orgasm?
Totally. All the time.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Because it's such a great release and it's so fun and joyful. Yes.
What?
And it's also slightly embarrassing,
It can be, yeah.
Yeah. So,
you're sorry.
You laugh.
But I usually when I know it's good if I laugh. I know it's, you have an orgasm, it's good, right? But, there's levels of orgasm, right? There's ones that you probably sit back and 20 years later, remember that time with John Doe and the back, and you remember that orgasm because it was so good. And so I always, if I start chuckling when it's over, I'm like, that was
a good one.
That was really good.
Yeah, which is probably the opposite of what your partner's gonna think, right?
She's probably going, why is she laughing at me? And then you have to explain, sorry, it's just so good. Ha ha ha.
I had a friend of mine that wanted to write a book called Laughter and Orgasms.
Why didn't she?
It was a guy friend, actually, who also had the same experience that after a good orgasm.
He would laugh?
He would laugh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a guy laugh on me when he said the orgasm.
How would you feel about that?
I don't know, but I'm a really chatty person. As our listeners have learned.
Big surprise. And
I like to talk during sex too. I just like to talk.
Is this dirty talk, or is this hey, are you going to go to the grocery store tomorrow?
Oh, no. It's more like dirty talk, but I like to have that continual connection, right?
Yeah.
Through verbal stuff, right? When they're like, could you not talk so much? It's oh, wait a second. I don't like that. I don't like, I don't.
Yeah, when they're trying to control your sexual experience, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't
you love my dirty words, man?
I'm really good at it.
I have dirty words and advice. You should hear them all.
You know what I'll do for us next time? I'll just play my podcast while I'm having sex. So then they can just listen to me talking while we're having sex. And then I don't actually, I can hear myself and I'm not actually then talking. So maybe that's the best of both worlds.
Oh my goodness. That I think might need a little therapy in there.
You're probably going to ask me, so how many boyfriends have you turned into schizophrenics, Michelle? Yeah.
Oh.
Borderline personality disorders after they dated me. Not before.
Oh.
But after. I'm just being smart.
Yeah.
Smart ass right now because we've been drinking bad boy wine.
I know.
Emily, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go with Clitorally Speaking the podcast?
I don't know. Sam, do you have any ideas? We're going to bring in Sam. We just asked him if he had any thoughts to share with us. And, he has been so kind all along the way and shared all kinds of insights. in between every break, and we're like, oh, that is gold. So let's hear a
He's been
man's perspective on this.
Patiently listening to our conversation and giggling.
And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just brought me up.
I was like, embarrassed. Oh wait, he's got to do some technical things.
Might. Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Now you can
All right,
talk.
he's sliding on in. Normally he slides in to get a glass of wine, and now he's sliding in to actually. There's Sam.
With the headphones on.
Yeah.
What would you like to know?
Well, first of all, how have you felt about our conversation so far? Are you sitting back here as a guy, like going, man, I always take care of my woman, or like, are you feeling offended, like we're not properly representing the male perspective? And what is your feeling there?
Sure. Well, no. I mean, I am appreciating the conversation, and I am lucky to now be in a really healthy relationship with somebody that I love a lot and that I've been with for a long time. I've also been in bad relationships.
Yeah.
And
have you ever sighed?
I have sighed, I think. I'm not perfect. I think I've sighed. But no, I don't think that you're taking unfair shots at men in general or specifically. I mean,
Sorry about that.
it's all right. But yeah, no, it's enlightening for me, and it's fun to just be able to listen to people talk and not feel like I have to say anything. Just shut up and listen for a minute, because I know a lot of times men in general feel the need to have their opinion be the loudest or the last.
Interject.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's clear you're a very patient person, and that you do enjoy that learning other perspectives. And so that's why I was like, oh, okay, bring this one on here. There's a voice to be heard.
Keep dropping knowledge.
Well, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Clearly
Okay.
speaking.
I'm taking notes over there in my head.
Yeah, he's gonna have
All right.
the men's focus group afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I'm going back to my friends. I'm like, okay, guys, here's what I learned this week.
Okay, so what would you like to learn? What are some things that we should put on our future list that we should talk about? And maybe what's one final thing we could talk about tonight?
Oh man, things I'd like to learn. That's kind of tough to just come up with
I
a
know.
specic thing.
Yeah. But
There could be like categories.
Sure. I most appreciate, I think, the emotional perspective, and also I like hearing, and I don't know if this is a men and women thing just as much as an other people thing, but one thing I have come to realize about myself as I've become an adult is that everybody else is having an experience of their own, and what I feel in my head or in my heart is not always, that's just my perspective of what's happening.
Right.
And that everybody else is living their own life, and they're having a story inside of their own head, and they're seeing things from their own way. And so I like hearing the emotional perspective of women talking frankly, where I kind of get to be a fly on the wall. So I think that's probably the most informative thing for me.
You are really lucky because you are our engineer, our audio engineer, and you get to sit here and listen to our conversation, because this is how we talk. When women get together, this is how we talk. But if you were hanging out with us, if we were having like a dinner or something,
we wouldn't have this conversation.
We wouldn't be we wouldn't be this open, if we were in mixed company, because we would be aware of the men in the room.
We'd have to be sensitive to that, right?
Right.
Sure.
Right. Because let's say if you're having couples over, like the couples are having dinner or whatever, and if the girls start, talking about a guy.
Oh, do you have multiple orgasms? No.
Yeah.
Then your partner is going to be offended or embarrassed or humiliated, and then be angry with you when you get home. So you filter, you censor, and you're not as honest within a mixed group. I don't know if men filter their comments if you're in a mixed group. I don't know because I...
Do you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I get the sense, men, of course, talk a certain way when they're around just other men, I think, generally. But it occurs to me that I think women are probably much more familiar with the way that men speak frankly than vice versa. I probably don't hear the way that women just speak to each other when it's only women nearly as often as how women hear guys speak to each other. Because,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we will filter ourselves, but generally not as much.
I think
There's less pressure too.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. There's less pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that you brought out that emotional perspective. That's the thing that Ken said as well. Like when I asked him, like, what would be interesting to you to hear? And he was like, that emotional perspective is the same thing. Like, what is it that you're really feeling and thinking about? Which is kind of amazing that it seems that hard to reach because I think women, we are very vocal and communicators, but maybe we're afraid.
Maybe we filter.
Yeah.
We always filter because when we have spoken our truth when we were younger or prior relationship, it wasn't received well, or
It's true.
or by, we can just look back at the activities of the last 2 weeks with the Supreme Court nomination and subsequent
gosh.
appointment. We've spoken our truth and it wasn't received.
Right. And in fact,
And loudly wasn't received.
And so you look at just that, right? And there's so many questions that have stem out of that whole thing. There's the question of someone earlier to me said, why was she even there? Like blaming her for being. I'm like, because she was young. She's trying to, make friends, and there's a lot of pressure when you're a teenager to try to fit in and be places, and and this person had no experience with that, because they weren't allowed out of the house before they were married, and
Yeah, so they would never have gone to a party on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's also the, why don't women come forward? Well, because look at what happens when they do. They're shamed, their family's shamed, and they're not, in the end, most people don't believe them.
And nothing changes.
Right.
So everybody
why
knows.
put yourself through that
everybody knows that I was
pain?
sexually assaulted, but nothing's changed.
Right. Right. In fact, most of the world thinks I'm lying,
Or most of the
right.
the grand old party
Right.
thinks I'm lying.
And so why put yourself through that misery? I mean, these are real.
Yeah, it's
Right.
but we have to keep speaking our truth.
Yeah.
On a one-to-one, in a relationship, you have to speak your truth, and if the truth
Yeah.
isn't received, then
Then it's not the
then
right
that's
one-to-one.
not the right relationship.
Yeah.
And
Right.
go ahead.
Yeah, I think I mean, about that specifically, I knew intellectually that it was a really common problem that so many women went through that, but I don't think that it really occurred to me or hit me once I saw lots of people that I loved, family members, friends, saying that similar things had happened to them, to different degrees sometimes, but that's when it kind of hit me like, oh, wow, this is, I think, way more prevalent than I realized. And I'm not sure if that's because I wasn't listening, which is probably part of it, or it wasn't, I don't know, we weren't having a frank discussion among everybody or
Well,
what.
and
but-
my son who's in college, and he I have a lot of respect for him, and because of his approach, and I think that comes from having his mom being a single mom. But one of his friends, or not friends, but an acquaintance last year, or he knew the guy through a guy, was falsely accused of sexual assault. My son was livid at the guy when he was accused and about it. It was like, because my son is all about consent during, continued consent. And when he finally confronted the young man, and the young man's like, well, guy, it was fake. And, and basically the girl had regrets about sleeping with him. So she had falsely accused him, all of these things. But my son's reaction to this young guy was, why did you put yourself into a position where you could be falsely accused? You need to look out for yourself better.
So
You
why
know?
does she have regrets about having sex with him that she made that accusation?
Well, I don't know all those details, but it ended up being that it was a consensual sexual thing. I mean, I've had regretful sex.
Sure.
You know, but I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't accuse them of raping
them of
you.
raping me.
Yeah.
But I also have had, I have had my Me Too moments where it's different. But I think more men, like if you were just like coming to the idea, like the realization, like, wow, 3 out of the 4 women that I know have all been sexually assaulted. Well, you have guy friends. Are the men who aren't assaulters and predators calling their other guys out? Like, this isn't how you behave. This is not how you treat. And this isn't locker room talk.
Well, and I don't think that they consider what they're doing as assault, right? I mean,
like probably for some of them, it's like, oh, you thought I raped you?
Yeah.
I think
Oh.
that's possible. I mean, and I would like to believe that maybe it's there are some people who are predators who are doing the majority of these
the
terrible
work.
actions.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any of my friends or acquaintances that I know of that have done stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure statistically some of them have, but I don't know that it's like a 1-to-1. Like if 3 of 4 women have had this experience, it's because 3 of 4 men have done it. It seems to me like there are some men who
Are more prolific.
they're prolific and they're able to get away with it, which is not much better.
Which is what we saw in the a continued getting away with it, which is why they were so angry about being called to the carpet on it, because wait, I've gotten away with this. This is how it should be, and women are talking about it. We talked about this on an earlier podcast.
I know.
We have a vocabulary
We will
now.
continue to talk about it too because it's a serious issue.
And we will approach things from an emotional point, because not only does it help you, Sam, and your
Help me
friends
out.
who might be listening along, but I think it helps our listeners. It helps me. Oh my gosh, I am getting to write my wine off. I don't have to see my therapist anymore because I'm coming to Clearly Speaking the podcast. I listen to myself. I mean, it's
Process.
it's all good. Everything about it is good. And somebody said to me after I'd listened to Beyonce really, really loud as I'm driving along and screaming and not letting anybody cut me off. But they said, Michelle, might be why you have this podcast, so you can give voice to what's inside and what you want to talk about. And
then there's value in sharing that viewpoint, right? So it's like you get to share it and then empower others as well. Right.
And be empowered by their stories.
Yeah.
And be empowered by our friendship, and be like everything about this. And this is going to get into like a little gush fest here. And this is what I usually do when I drink a lot of wine. I just start crying and telling everybody how much I love them. It's like and he's like, oh, I've been here. Yeah, and here she goes.
It's good. I like it.
But I just feel really, really blessed. My life could have taken so many different turns in the last, nearly 50 years, but it went this way, and it brought you into my life, and here we are. We're recording this, we're sharing it, we're talking with folks, and where it's going to go, there's only gonna be sunshine and rainbows. I mean,
Right.
seriously, it's like the Care Bears, right? And like, ooh, Disney,
Yeah.
like magnified, not Disney. Like Cinemax.
I'm hearing the song that the Brady Bunch, like Sunshine Day. Like I'm hearing that right
Nice.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Sam will find that somewhere
Yeah,
on some
I
like
think
free music site and like take us out. But
Yeah, I'm ready to break a few copyright laws. Who's with me?
are you? Yeah, I'm ready. Like, what do we have? Like a millisecond we can use their music before we get charged.
Yeah, I'll trim it down to just the right amount.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we don't have the
One
budget.
note.
We don't have the attorney on staff yet. But
Right.
once we do, watch out. We're
You're
And
gonna
that's
hear
what you're going to
Sunshine
use it
Day.
for?
to fight the copyright
is
infringement.
fighting Disney for their music copyrights.
Not Disney. No,
No,
let's keep
no.
it simple.
I'm sorry.
We're
Yeah,
not.
Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch.
Right.
Stuff like that. Well, we have like a sip left of
Tiny
this bad
sip left.
boy.
Thank you,
Mauvais
Sam,
Garçon.
for
You're welcome.
joining
Mauvais
us
Garçon.
here
Thank you for
and
inviting
sharing
me
your
on.
viewpoint.
Thank you. We'll be back next.
I will recede into the darkness now.
No, you need to cheers with us.
Yeah. Cheers with
Yeah.
us. And then you gotta, lead us out. But Emily, this was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I am so looking forward to our next conversation here at Shock City.
Yeah. We have so much to talk about. And well, our next guest is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, our next guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if we tease it now or not because who knows
Well,
when we'll be.
The next guest actually won't be here in the studio.
It'll be our
going to
first remote.
we are going to have a remote guest because they're going to be talking to us from a studio in LA. So we'll leave it there for now.
We'll leave it there. We'll tease it out on social media, and we are not gonna we're not gonna let haters win. Especially you
no
know,
more deleting posts.
No more deleting posts. We're
Yeah.
gonna stand strong. So, thank you, Emily.
Thank you
for doing
And
literally
thank you-
speaking the podcast with
and
me.
thank you,
and,
Michelle,
and for being my friend.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's the easiest thing in the world to do.
All right. Well.
And thank you for joining us. We look forward to the next conversation.
All right. Ciao.
Bye. Well, that was fun.
I hope anything I made.
Totally
sense.
made sense.
I have a tendency to just stop and think for like 10 seconds, and that doesn't translate well on podcasts. But
So, Sam, I just want you to turn around for a second. There you go. That's Sam. Hi. Okay.
hi.
Now, bye.
I like that I stuck my